MKOI select blue side, so they will stay on that blue side going into game 2. We're going to cover the draft on the desk. Surprise. I know you love to do that. So there's my little gift from me to you. So let's start with the losing side so far. Finn, what changes do we need to make? If I summarize it, get a better lane matchup for Myrwn.
Yeah, so 2 things. Gwen is out, which is good, because that means Canna can't pick it. Okay. No, I was going to say Canna can't pick it, because I think Canna is really good on Gwen. I imagine the Jace will stay banned, so my eyes go to the 2 champions that are still up and available in the top side. That is the Mbessa and the Rumble. And I think at this stage, you take the trade. You take the trade and you say, Myrwn, you got this. You play both of the champions somewhat well, you can deal with this. And I still want to see them put emphasis on Jojopyun. I would love to see Jojopyun pick something where he can actually play his laning phase and then impact the map. The Talia being taken out is a good idea by Kai'Sa because I think that is his most powerful champion. But something like an Azir or a Victor is something that I would see him lean towards.
Bro, you have so little confidence in Myrwn. You said somewhat well on the Mbessa Rumble.
Okay, I think his Mbessa is really good. I think his Rumble sometimes leaves something to be desired as we see the Yone pick up, and this will go into the mid lane most likely. And I really like this. You usually combine this together with a Sejuani, and what you're left with is one of the strongest mid-jungle 2v2s in the game right now.
Yeah, and I wonder what Kai'Sa will look to answer with it, with Talia as well being out. I mean, the Azir, of course, is still open. I always kind of prefer the Azir side of it. I think it's just so much easier to play team fights while the Yone needs to play side. And I haven't been the biggest fan of Jojo's Yone. I feel like on the Ahri, Talia, on these more roaming mages, he's been great. But
has this been caught up, that narrative, though? Because I know which games you mean. I don't feel like that's happened that much anymore.
I mean, he's not inting, but he's not like
the bar is
insane.
High.
The bar is on the floor. Wow. Lucian.
Lucian picked up by Caliste. This might be combined with a Nami, but actually these days you don't really need to pick Nami with Lucian anymore. You can be a little bit more fluid in your support role. I really want to see Sejuani right now. I really want to see Sejuani from Elyoya and then Mbessa from Myrwn. For me, secure your top side, get a strong top side that can fight, that can contest, and they don't listen to
It's bot lane.
I think Kai'Sa Nautilus might be as well a lock-in, or you could go Kai'Sa Sejuani here. I mean, the thing is, if you do go the Mbessa, like you said, you might fall that feel like you're lacking on the AP department, but it's actually Neeko's support here.
I mean, I know what you're going to say, but I feel like whenever I see Neeko and Alvaro in a game that matters,
it's a good combo.
The guy's good. The guy finds the angles, and I think that's what they're banking on here, together with, of course, the side lane pressure from the Yone.
I mean, the biggest problem that when you're locking in Neeko here is you really want something that's easy lockdown for Lucian. And Neeko, while having a great ultimate, it's very easy for both the Lucian and the Azir to avoid it.
That's what we need to solve. They need a good...
Yeah. Like, you'd really want something like a Nautilus, like a Vi, but of course, now support already locked in and Vi banned. Maybe you can get a Sejuani.
Oh my god, it is Lucian Nami!
It is Lucian Nami.
Let's go!
The 2 best friends in the bot lane since forever, it feels like.
Yes.
Trundle ban speaks to me that Kai'Sa will take the Sejuani away from MKOI. They're gonna take the Sejuani on 4, so they take away Sejuani counters. And I feel like this is kind of the situation you put yourself now as MKOI, because you didn't pick the Sejuani early, now it's gonna go away from you, and because the Maokai is already banned, I think you kind of have to go into an AP jungle kind of style, something like a Lilia, like a Syra in my mind, they come to me, but it doesn't feel as good to the Yone.
It doesn't.
Because they want to farm, and the Yone I like it when the Yone has the ability to fight, to scrap, to skirmish, to really get down and dirty in those river fights.
Kai'Sa ended up banning away Sejuani, so I'm actually not sure what they want to go on
so
for
everything I said is just
maybe they want to pick a tank top, and they were worried about the Trundle blind pick.
Yeah, could also like, what is on my mind is still like stuff like the Poppy, like the Skarner has been kind of having a little bit of a resurgence. Could be something like this to look for.
I think Skarner on 4 here could be definitely an option.
Yeah.
And then we got the lockdown a little bit also. Oh wait, no, on the side of Kai'Sa, but we still need our element on MKOI, right? Because I feel like they're making it quite hard for themselves currently. Is that a right assessment?
They have a lot of champions that have really good kits, but they want someone else to make their kits easy to execute. Someone to set up the Yone ult, set up the Neeko ult.
You really want the Sejuani. But I wonder what they're gonna
Skarner,
go. Skarner 4, as we highlighted before. I imagine Myrwn is gonna go for the Mbessa here. Because it's just the most logical. It's the most safe blind pick skirmish that's left in the game. And now is really where Elyoya has to kind of dig deep into his pool. There is stuff like the Ivern is up and available that you
don't really have the front line for
Skarner. You can also go for the Brand. It's a little bit out there, or the Syra if you want an AP jungle.
But I think you just go an AD Bruiser, and then Kai'Sa goes Neeko. I mean, you go like, I guess, Naafiri and Bessa here, and then Kai'Sa goes AP, Neeko is AP, and that's like, is enough. But it's a weird composition they have for sure.
It doesn't feel great.
Maybe they now pivot and put a tank top instead that provides some engage, and Ornn or Sion.
I would like a Sion here, to be honest. I think Sion does really well into Lucian.
Oh my goodness.
What?
It's Neeko top, I think. I think it's a Neeko top to my Myrwn. It's one of his classics.
Well, it is, but I love seeing Alvaro on it.
So,
what the hell?
Neeko top has a very strong laning phase. And we did highlight before that we want to see Myrwn have something with agency in lane, so you can actually kind of contain Canna. I will say, against the Ambessa, that could be really scary, because all your damage as a Neeko is skill shots. Playing as a champion with
I think he goes
dashes.
80 Neeko, no?
Yeah, he might go 80 Neeko. We're gonna see what it goes in the end.
I've seen enough. Usually, you know, when the Nidalee gets locked in or whatever, you gotta give him some trust.
Yeah.
The guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I really like at least the fact that he has a strong laning phase right now. As Nidalee picked by Canna.
Oh my god!
He's taking the game into Canna's court.
Yes!
And he's saying, you play Nidalee, I play Nidalee. And he's gonna hit him with a spear in the face.
Canna says, you can do it, I can do it better.
The
Don't
big
worry.
egos, it feels like, clashing in top airs. They both want to have their crazy picks and win this top lane matchup.
Look at it, he looks so mischievous.
I just want to highlight, I want to see Myrwn turn into a Naafiri dog and run around Elyoya and pretend to be one of his dogs.
Yeah, bark at him.
Well, I think I still prefer... Actually, maybe I prefer MKOI draft now. They really cooked
They
here.
got the Nautilus, man.
It was a very interesting draft to look.
They threw us both for a loop.
I want to see an AP Neeko. Please don't go 80 Neeko.
Oh my god, this is crazy.
Attack, you just know I will be screaming backstage.
I love it. Like, if we think about how much is on the line in this best of 5, the fact that the teams are doing this, right? It's crazy. Let's go. Movistar KOI with a gambit and Canna with an answer in the Nidalee. Let's go.
Finn, it's PTA! We're getting AD Neeko top, brother. Finn, leave your comms on. We got a story for you. Because this game is going to deliver. And myself, Vedius, and Dagda are now going to tell you which drafts we prefer because this is a baller of a game too, and we're not even into the depths of Fearless yet.
I really liked Casey's draft until they picked Nidalee top. Yeah. And then I was just like, what does Nidalee do here? And then KOI, throughout their draft, I was like, well, they have no real way to start a fight. They've got like a weird amalgamation of champions. They're going to need some sort of engaged top. And then they locked in Nautilus and like, okay, so both teams have cooked. That's what we know for sure. I think KOI's composition, I don't even know where to start. I guess they have decent dive. They've got solid side lane threats. The fact that this is on-hit Neeko means that they kind of want to play a 1-3-1 would be my instinct.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's kind of where my head's at, is like they almost half drafted into a dive comp with the Yone and the Kai'Sa, and then they went, oh, hang on a second, they've gone Skarner, they've gone for Azir, they've gone for even Nami, a lot of things that can bypass that engage by just buying space for the back line. And then they tried to pivot, saying, hey, let's actually go for the Neeko AD top and then still have some engage. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but it is a bit easier, I feel like, to execute on. Like, you have Nautilus presses on someone, Jojo presses on the same person, Yike can follow up, and it's got a decent skirmishing. Whereas I feel like if I'm looking at KC's, I think the biggest issue I see for them is ease of access to engages, right? It feels like it has to be Flash Skarner ult, or Vladi with the big swoop and boop, or Targamas with a long-range wave to try and get fights started, which I'm not always the biggest fan of. So I think, again, a lot of it going to come down to positioning, execution, and can MKOI play around some of these lockdown tools that KC have?
I do feel like, again, throwing the wrench in the draft is kind of get some range trades. It is just going to open up barrels of laughs as we go through the series. Now I'm going to bring you back. Last game, real big MVP, at least for me, gents, was this guy right here. And it needs to be mentioned coming into the second game. The Targamas is engages. Even though Alvaro was great with his Magnet Storms, they were few and far between. Targamas was consistently the one setting up the brilliant fights in that first game.
And of course, Canna really stood out in terms of his outplays, and the desk highlighted his performance. But Targamas was so instrumental in turning fights the way of KOI. We think of that river fight where Caliste died immediately to start the fight off. It was hitting his engage that connected onto 3. In the final fight, when Alvaro found a 2-3-man ulti onto the backline, there was an Ahri and a Wukong ready to follow up. Targamas quick with the engage to deny that. And he was just so aware of what he needed to be doing on the Rakan that I think that so many of the fights went Casey's way because of his impact in the game.
And even just in the laning phase alone, burning the early summoner spell from Supa, putting a ton of pressure onto him, and that pressure then lent into, hey, we can start on this early dragon track that sets us up for the Hextech Soul super early in the game. His impact was nuts, and the fact you ended up with 20 assists in a 23-kill game just shows he was everywhere.
And last year, let me just say, what a roughie he had. And I thought Targamas last year was one of the worst performing supports. As Yike is going to now test the theory of how much he can do here. Story time comes later as Elyoya is hiding in the wing. Dredgeline doesn't connect, and Yike pops out just to say, hey, I am going to come in if you want to 3v3 this. So he backs away.
Yeah, as you were looking at on the graphic though, is, hang on, Yike, going to move away, is just that KC started off a bit rough. Everyone saw their 2024, but as they started to get the key members that they wanted in, things started to look up. But MKOI looking to see if they can put them in their place here.
How far is this journey going? I feel like now we're outside the black gates. Yike is going to try and turn a play as Alvaro doesn't actually hit the wall, so he thinks about a re-engage. Yike spacing while Jojo wants to go in on top of Vladi, who again spaces out. Jojo can't get too much done with that soul unbound. And the potential play ends there.
Early ignite from Alvaro, but hang on.
He's enhanced. Alvaro needs to get away. He flashes first, and now Casey have a 2 versus 1, but Supa also disengages as Alvaro's out of summoners.
Yeah, I liked the early ignite from Alvaro in that fight because you had heal on Targamas and also then the ebb and flow to heal Yike as well, which is why Yike went in. But as soon as he didn't get as much healing as he was expecting off that ebb and flow, Casey kind of quickly stepped back and say, actually, maybe we need to reevaluate this. But nice job on Caliste and Targamas again to catch MKOI in rotation to burn those summoner spells.
It's an interesting early game dynamic because Caliste and Targamas should have the stronger 2 versus 2 in the early game. But Vladi and Yike, there's very little that they can do in the skirmishing. Azir plus Skarner it's just not a strong mid-jungle duo early game. And so Jojo and Elyoya really tried to leverage that. And that's what was awkward in the river because Caliste and Targamas were like, yeah, we want to fight, we're keen to fight, we're strong enough to fight. But unfortunately, Vladi was in a lot of danger to Jojo, so they kind of had to disengage. Regardless, no one dies. Canna's building a bit of a lead on the top side of the map. He's going to get himself his first plate of the game. In the mid lane matchup, Jojo with a slight lead as the junglers stay relatively even, same on the bot side of the map. But the push priority going the way of Canna once again.
And this is where it becomes a bit awkward for Elyoya because you would like to play for topside to help Myrwn out because Canna having an absolute field day up here, but you also need to cover for your bottom side because Caliste and Targamas want to play hyper aggressive. So now the map state gets really difficult for Elyoya to try and cover all of his bases and keep MKOI safe in both side lanes.
See the TP back, and I see that Myrwn has none because he got bullied out a little bit earlier. As he walks through, Canna's just last hitting the wave, so there's no hard push to look for an extra plate, especially since they might have thought the dog was up near top lane as Elyoya was hovering before. I just love, gents, that into this second game as Caliste, hold my thought, dude, who cares about the story when we see blood on blood trading? Alvaro down to a quarter, or rather 3, as Yike spots Elyoya there with a bit of damage onto Yike early, not too bad.
Junglers mirroring one another right now.
Clap that, I guess. Yeah, that's nice.
I mean, it's nice to see Elyoya in position every time Yike is hovering around the bot side of the map. You want to be really careful about this Lucian lane getting out of control. We've been seeing it rise up in popularity throughout the world. We've been seeing it in the LEC playoffs as well, and we know how scary the champion can be. In fact, the last time these two players, I mean, it was a reverse matchup. It was Caliste who was getting bullied by the Lucian on his MF, but then they turned that game around, and Caliste was able to bounce back in that game. Caliste now operating the Lucian. We'll see what he can do on the champ as Jungler's heading to mid lane.
Bait sealed, misses. It's a whiff. The soldier sent back. Jojo just out of turret range, though. Vladi unlucky. If the turret helps there, maybe Jojo's dead.
Yeah, turret shot could have been it, but he's gone in, and now Skarner and Targamas here.
Lethal Tempo's only fully loaded. Targamas helps out a little bit with an ebb and flow. Jojo gets out on less than 100 HP.
They're just going to try and walk away, but a turret shot could have been devastating there. Vladi just not quite able to get Jojo underneath the tower. Still, though, KC, dragon stacking has been the name of the game for them, and they will continue with that.
I have to say, Dragons in this series, KC are going to be pretty happy with 100% hit rate so far. As we start with the Cloud, we'll see what comes up next. And we do have a bit of a lane swap, gents, with 25 seconds left to go to Grubs. I now see Myrwn playing Neeko bot.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to highlight, though, is when you see Lucian Nami, oftentimes you kind of wanted something that could enable it. Yep. This is why oftentimes you see it with Sejuani or a Vi or a MKOI, something that could play off it to set up for a strong culling. And this was kind of what was missing when we actually saw MKOI get that early lead on us, was something to enable it. But here we go.
Oh, Dredgeline with Ignite. Caliste, second skin to a kill. Supa doesn't get it. It's Alvaro, but it opens up top just as Grubs spawn.
Alvaro continues to prove why he is a top tier support in the league. Fantastic hook comes through from him, connects it onto Caliste, and as you said, they secure first blood.
Unfortunately, though, the kill didn't go towards Supa, so flash burnt and only the assist, but still, very nice job getting that kill and netting them those Void Grubs as well.
And look at the wave he denied top as well, able to push that in. CS lead brewing between 80 characters. Yike wants the remnants of a little pickoff of a purple Krug. Two already taken down. Grubs in hand and a third easily smited. And that's KOI securing top handedly.
Especially when we're talking about MKOI kind of trying to play through side lanes as a win con, particularly with Jojo. Having these Void Grubs is going to help it quite a bit, but still junglers always seem to be on the same screen.
Yeah, we've got the dogs up and ready. Level 7 just picked up off the end of the wave. Yike is disengaging though. Targamas wanted to check the fruits of the river, but he won't go any further, and KOI just stepped back as well. So small gold lead for KOI the first 9 minutes of this game, but nothing else to talk about apart from the lead between Nidalee and the lead between Supa on Kai'Sa.
And that's really where my focus is starting to go, because we said, hey, Jojo's going to be in a good spot, but Myrwn does not look like he's having the best of times at all. Vladi.
Ulti used. I mean, let's be fair, Vladi's probably not having a good time either from what we've seen.
Yeah, not the best, but Elyoya now trying to fix this bottom side for Myrwn, but there is
Grasp. Canna turns into Cougar. Wants the range pop blossom flash and matched. Dagda surely to follow, right? As Unleashed, Canna has nowhere to go. No! 1 versus 2. Canna Unleashed, the bigger dog. As Jojo, there's no ulti to bring him back. He fades Seal, gets caught up by a Scorpion. A Dredgeline under turret, a stun up, an ulti. Alvaro not going to be impaled, nor is Jojo. The best engaged in the lead, almost got another.
A few very tense moments between the teams as Canna miraculously gets a kill back. Vladi very close to finding a kill onto Jojo thanks to the help of Yike, but Jojo, he navigates it well and gets away to safety. KOI hold on to the gold lead for now, but Canna, I mean, this man, you can't, but you have to say his name every game.
Yeah, it's, you know, trying to help your mother in the kitchen when she's baking. I got this, don't worry, and you drop it all over the floor. Canna able to turn that one around. Myrwn just going too far forward.
I don't know what that reference was, Dagda, but I'm all for it.
I'm trying to learn from you.
I'm telling you, something's rubbing off. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll be baking right now because Canna, the amount of gold he's cooking with a 20 CS lead with the Trinity Force almost picked up. And for a lot of people out there that wonder, like, man, why does this Nidalee go Grasp? When you see the demolish because of how much Grasp you got in lane, it's insane the speed you can take turrets with a primal surge.
It's also because it's very similar to the Jace, where you can change into melee form as your auto attack is mid-range or mid-flight and still get the like melee grass proc. Yeah, and it works out so well. You get all that extra health, the healing, it just works out so nice.
Do you know the primal surge I found out today as well is based on targets missing health, 0 to 100%? That's why her heal's also so broken as well when she's going this AD tank build.
And the thing is, the way that Canna's building, he's likely going to hit that Trinity Force spike before Myrwn will hit the blades, which means that that side lane matchup is only going to get worse for Myrwn unless he gets some assistance from Elyoya. The rest of the map, though, going very well for KOI. It's important to recognize that they have the goal lead for now. In terms of objectives, they're not in a bad spot. They can look to contest the next dragon if they want to, given that Eclipse now secured on Elyoya, and also the first item finished for Supa with the Kraken Slayer, or they can just choose to leave it be and look for a cross map elsewhere. KOI is in a perfectly fine position here in this early game.
Flash, Alvaro, Dredgeline turns into the Nami, but the ulti sends up Caliste. Instead, Targamas will either rearrange target as a kill over to Supa. Tagged out and a return dive. Supa hit from the side. Alvaro should not be given agency on an engaged support.
Alvaro beautifully orchestrated over the wall. The Hex Flash hook ends up hook, line, and sinker for Caliste and Targamas, and Elyoya is just celebrating alongside Supa.
And the follow-up was just so clean. Yeah. Elyoya and Supa, quick on the trigger. They don't ulti too early. They wait until Caliste is stuck underneath the tower, and then they fully commit to the play.
And this is what I was trying to say about the Lucian. Not having a jungler that can enable you to be proactive makes it so difficult for Caliste and Targamas to get full value from this Lucian. And especially when MKOI are targeting them like that, and Alvaro has these heat-seeking hooks, it makes things very easy for MKOI to punish any, even sniff of aggression there.
Now, KC are the ones starting Dragon after the flash engage was sent up from Alvaro. And KC feeling a lot more confident to play in River. And with Canna always having push in the side lane, KC right now are relying on the strength of this solo laner to keep the game rolling in their favor.
I mean, we'll see how things transpire when we get closer to the fights. Remember that Vladi is continuing to scale in a side lane, rather. Jojo, of course, doing the same thing. He's almost a full level up over Vladi. He's been doing a good job in the trades, and we heard the desk talking about it. They somewhat lean more towards the KOI draft, and you can see the advantage that they're finding, and so much of it has come off the back of Alvaro. Elyoya finding some nice ganks himself, but Alvaro has just been so clean with a lot of the plays that he's been making, finding that initial pick onto Caliste, and then converting that mid play as well.
We've said it a lot, but engines be studied. And for KOI, we know who it is. Vladi just going to walk it back as Soul Unbound. Plate given over to Jojo. We've got a competition for the fans. No wonder they're putting the effort in. And so they should. With some of the art we're getting, yeah, very well done. But with this series, I'm not surprised. It's the most exciting thing I've loved about the addition into the LEC. The KOI fans, the KC fans, the energy they bring not only to the studio, but everything around their gameplay. You can see why it's so exciting as we look at the plays.
Jojo's gone under the tower, though, to get, put some pressure on towards Vladi in the top side. But that means Yike's on the way. He will get spotted on a ward as he comes through. So I think Jojo will just try and back off that top side.
Nice sidestep. And these grass procs are getting bigger. The more you hit, especially with Trinity Force, the harder it is. Myrwn is getting autoed now for almost 200 damage, it seems. This AD Neeko down 1,100 gold and 30 CS. Canna lane gapping a second game in a row.
Canna is just playing extremely well right now, but both these teams will be starting to think, they'll be starting to think. Yes, yeah, they will. Herald was the point I was trying to make.
Good on you, Vedius.
Brains, cogs, moving.
They're thinking to start Herald.
Yes, they are. Yes, that's the word.
Nice one. And happens after that. Where we go?
I imagine conflict. Ooh. I'm hoping for a battle between the French and Spanish organization. Right now it's KC that have control over the river. Elyoya, he may be signaling that they don't want to fight, but play to the Ruin King finished on Jojo. I'd be communicating with KOI like, I think I'm strong enough on this Yone to really fight.
He thinks so. He gets a setup. Vladi ultis.
Okay, that is the go signal to start the Heralds.
Yeah, Yoya is going to take that immediately. And you can see Vladi playing incredibly scared here, but on the bottom side, yeah. Chase down, spear misses, so you won't get the speed up on the Nidalee to try and follow underneath with on the hunt, but still, Jojo kind of having a grand old time here against Vladi when it comes to the 1v1.
You really need to keep accelerating that. Need to keep your isolated 1v1 because there's one isolated 1v1 that's going KC's way. That's my fear. Even as Herald goes to KOI, gentlemen, I have to add the fear is this Nidalee as teleports burned to the inner turret by Myrwn just to defend that set wave.
Yeah, I think though the problem is it's how do you try and enable the Nidalee? They are going to go for a lane swap here, so Vladi going to move bot, Canna going to go top and try and get that outer turret, but this is where trying to move Nidalee around the map is going to be a little tough because again, you can't play hyper aggressive on mid wave because Elyoya can always jump onto Caliste as soon as he tries to play aggressive, and unless Yike is just basically sitting on Caliste, they're always going to get value there as Elyoya. So yeah. I think MKOI, as long as they can ride this out, set up for Jojopyun has just finished off his Blade of the Ruin King to kind of be that carry in fights. I think they can still take that opportunity to find those successes towards the team fights.
Notice how they've moved Canna into the matchup against Jojo after securing that bot lane tower in exchange for the Heralds. Canna, especially with these armor boots, is really going to help in terms of the 1v1, but yeah. Jojo's a scary threat on a side lane right now, and I want to see KOI, I feel, direct a little bit more investment on that top side, unlock that outer tower. It's a very easy objective to play for. KOI have already done a huge amount of damage towards it. I feel like just hovering around mid doesn't really convert them much. Instead, the game is just kind of slowing down. And I think KOI want to try and open the map up more, because the more deeper vision they have, the more options they have for looking for picks, catching people off guard. And Alvaro has already demonstrated multiple times this game how good he is at catching KC off guard.
Yeah, I think the problem is that with Myrwn this far behind, it becomes really difficult for MKOI to try and play out the map, because if you end up trying to catch the wave here, as you're kind of seeing now.
Okay, bit of damage on Supa. He used barrier. Bit of a win here for the Lucian Nami. Dagda,
I was going to say, if you end up taking the wave here, you just shift Azir to mid, you shift your bot lane up towards that top side as well, and you're able to then go for that top lane turret and have a numbers advantage. And there's always that pressure now. Obviously, with Dragon up and available, they're going to kind of stick into this side of the map, but this is something that I think is just going to continue as we get past the Dragon setup, where pressure bot, then shift mid, shift into top, take the turret, and just make it very difficult for MKOI to try and keep themselves safe on the map.
Yeah, that's kind of my concern. I feel KOI are just playing too defensively. They're trying to keep Myrwn from falling even further behind, but given that bot tower is gone, I feel like KOI can just invest further into the Jojo side of the map. Now, they don't have much vision control or really any easy way to access this river, and this is where Alvaro's role is going to be super important, because he's responsible for face checking. The Herald will definitely help, as it should do a decent amount of damage into this mid tower, but Caliste, he's managed to rotate around that tower. It's definitely not going to fall. Meanwhile, top lane, Canna continues to do work.
KOI can do anything here. They have a top lane advantage. As you said, Canna will stick his ground because he's got no teleport. He'll have to walk down, but he's going for an inner turret while KOI stop the dragon stacking. Herald's taken care of. Tangle Buffs slows down the play, but again, with Grasp, with a HP Nidalee who can queue this turret, that inner is gone, and Jojo's going to get there for only the remnants.
Great trade on the map. I think KC made the right call, although Jojo will find Canna.
I wonder who wins. Okay, no, we didn't.
I really think the Yone wins that one.
Yeah, but I think the way KC are playing is great. You already have the 2 Dragon advantage. You don't want to face check into MKOI, because that's where they can find massive value from something like Jojopyun's ultimate. So they just end up playing it back, and now Canna skedaddles out of there and doesn't get caught.
3,500 gold. Gold 3.2, but that is a monster gold lead at 19 minutes.
Yeah, that's why the gold at the top is quite deceptive, because it's basically Canna's gold lead versus the rest of KOI. So itemization is what you really need to be keeping your eyes on. And you'll notice that Vladi in a solid position. He's gotten himself the Nash's Tooth, plus he has the Arm Guard. Meanwhile, AD Carry has 2 items completed. Caliste foregoing the boots in favor of finishing that second item. So even the gold is looking very blue favored. Itemization-wise, I don't think Casey's in a bad spot.
How did that hit? Dredge line against the corner. Somehow with a depth charge, Caliste survives thanks to Targamas helping out. Jojo also teleported for this. Artican is the only thing up, and that's down bot.
That is an ult and an ignite gone. And my question is, what is KOI really playing for here? Because again, you look at the minimap, KC are staying mid, they're wave clearing. Vladi is pushing out more waves in bot. And this is what I mean by, I feel like KOI aren't really getting much on the map. They have Jojo as a strength, and they're not playing through him.
Flash away from Alvaro.
And that's another summoner spell gone. I feel like KC's just running circles around KOI on the map right now.
And now MKOI have all run down to this bottom side, and you're like, great, here's Canna and Caliste on mid wave. You just destroy your mid lane turret, as MKOI are now scrambling to get back up to the mid lane to try and cover. There's just, oh wait, hang on, TP in behind. Can they find something?
They need something, because again, as you said, KC running the map now. KOI want to run the fight. Caliste gets out with a disengage, but a tangle buff. Brilliant as the auto attack. Neeko would play with the wrong king. He's firing away. Yike dredge line flashed through. Alvaro had his number, his ticket, but he will not puncture it to get aboard that ride.
Keep note rather of what's been used. The TP from Myrwn, the TP from Jojo, the flash from Alvaro. Yike had to expend his flash, and Vladi spent his TP as well. But that was basically it, which means that KOI now looking to start off the Artican, but I think KC's fine with making the trade for mid lane tower.
Yeah, the Impale is down for Yike. The wave just about to come up for Targamas, which means a lot of the 2s are gone, but I don't know if they were even aware that Artican was available. As you can see, they're trying to move down towards this bottom side, but it's gone. KC, a little late to the party.
Right, will they turn up for the second show? Elyoya is walking in blind, and Alvaro is running against ground, but Yike's engage might not be perfect. The Nami ulti in, Vladi from his side. Jojo catches him by the hair of his chinny chin chin with a culling out as well. Myrwn tries to buy time, Targamas doesn't connect, but Canna with all the gold lead dredge lined up. Poss spots him through. Elyoya follows in. Canna goes deep, but meanwhile Vladi's ulti finally comes out. Supa's ulting from the back. He's ordering 3 more members. Alvaro dredge line not going to be found because he doesn't take the Hex Flash. Vladi's targeted. Supa's ulti's down. Elyoya stops there. The fight down as Canna lost some of his gold.
I have to question why KC tried to force that fight. With the Otacon already gone and no real objectives to play for, KOI is more than happy to take a fight right now, and they force themselves into this choke point, very split up as well.
And Yike has no impale. That is all that Yike is going to contribute here. So he's just kind of a walking health bar that gets locked down. Great ultimate from Jojopyun. And even here, it's kind of KC scrambling to see, hey, can we make anything happen? Tangle bars onto Caliste from Myrwn means Canna is now on his own. Great ultimate from Alvaro over the wall. They pick off Canna, who notably does at least get one back. But then even here, Vladi getting that ultimate away to try and buy space, but it was just all over the place.
How does he not? He had no bounty. What? He had no bounty because he got it all off turret gold. Even though he's 179 CS. Okay.
But I think that's the notable part, right? A 3,000 gold lead for Canna, but the rest of that is all going for MKOI, and that is huge, especially for people like Jojopyun, who's just finished off his second item. He's going to be a massive threat towards Vladi in the side lane, who's even opted in towards the early Seekers just to try and help out a little bit. But KC, again, this kind of like impatience that we see is coming back to bite them.
And KOI were finally able to get a tower of their own, securing that bot tier 1 by Jojo. He's now level 15, and Dagda already talked about his itemization. I'd love to see KOI now, again, try and play through him. This mid tower is a very difficult one to siege with the composition that they have. It's very short range with Kai'Sa and Yone. So instead, try and overstack numbers. Instead, set your sights on that top tier 1. Of course, with the Dragon up, that's right now the primary objective that these teams are fighting for. And they don't want to allow KC to get onto Soul Point. KOI should feel strong enough to fight, but walking into darkness is a scary thing.
And KC having no flashes available at all can be a bit of an issue. But MKOI in a very similar boat. So if you get caught, you are caught. There is no second chance here.
Jojo was tagged out. He needs to hit some minions, recover that health. He's got lifeline, and thanks now to the second item picked up. A Mortal Shield bow in hand to see what he can do here. A big moment for him in the fight if it comes through, but both mid laners with big ultis to contribute. Can KOI find their way back in the series here? The big question answered as Elyoya zoned off. Alvaro culling down, half HP. That's their engage. A big tool to be down. He'll get one shot. He has to sacrifice his life to get off the pull.
Great patience from KC as they chip away the HP bars of KOI. The main face checker of Alvaro finds himself at less than 50%. So now how do you get in? Blue trinket used. KC still controlling the brush, yet to start. And now they'll finally start this one off. And there's very little that KOI can do. So they just sat as spectators with no easy way to force that fight. KC leveraged their range, chip away at the HP bars, and now they'll put themselves at Soul Point.
And that's the way the KC need to try and play these fights. You notice that once they're on the objective, it is relatively difficult to try and oust them from that, especially when Yike has that ultimate for Jojo trying to go in, Elyoya trying to go in. But if you are able to beat KC to the punch, MKOI then have a ton of different angles of attack, so the value from the Skarner starts to go down. KC very aware of it. They protect their mid turret, they protect the mid wave, and they get the dragon.
Caliste base was stopped here. It's not like he's sitting on a third completed item, I don't think, so it's not going to mean too much. But for now, especially when Baron's up, let's keep our thought on that purple worm in the top side of the map. Control right now quite neutral, but KOI are going to be in river first, and vision around it, especially with Jojo holding. Trying to lure Vladi in, but he shows. It's going to be, again, about the top side of the map.
Hysterics gauge completed for Canna, though, makes it very tough for Myrwn to try and go for the 2v2. Or, sorry, the 1v1 against them. And he's going to continue to push in, threaten that bot lane turret. And this is constantly putting a timer on towards MKOI. It's like, okay, this wave is coming in. We've got a little bit of time before it hits. What can we do on the map? And that needs to be a play towards Vladi.
I love that you put it in the perspective of the Hysterics gauge, because I'm just like, Myrwn's a broke boy. Like, there ain't nothing he cannot afford any cookies, boys. Like, there is nothing that he can do right now.
Look, if I can't say something nice, I was told not to say it.
He just finds himself in a very awkward spot, and like this Neeko pick is not working out for KOI. Canna successfully shut him down in game 1. He's doing exactly the same thing in game 2. And I think right now, what's super impressive to me is that KOI is still as threatening as they are when they're basically in a 4 versus 5 scenario. And it's because of how strong Jojo is, level 16 on the Yone, but it's kind of a double-edged sword, ironically, because a bad engage from Jojo could result in his immediate demise.
You're right, and we found a good one before. That's the reason why KOI ended up winning the fight, but let's come back to the reason KOI are in this position. I think Elyoya's ganks, Elyoya's movement in the early part of this game is the reason that KOI have so much to play off with. Once again, the crew with a ship. Or rather, Elyoya is the ship with the crew on back. KOI thinking about how they can get more control over top. Jojo gets push. And again, pings going around Baron. That is a little bit dark apart from that control ward.
But this is what I was talking about, right? While Canna isn't on the map, okay, let's try and make these plays towards Vladi, try and get some vision control down, and MKOI have done just that, but now that Canna's starting to put that pressure onto the bottom side, and Yike has literally sat in a bush to deny MKOI that opportunity to make a play, now it's starting to open up for Canna to be a bit more of that pressure point.
Yeah, very exciting. It's a 40 CS lead through jungle. It's a 2k gold lead with Elyoya and Yike now, by the way. So that's just kind of enveloping my vision right now. 1.8 between mid, 1.1 between 80 carries. Next Dragon, 215 that KC will work towards a soul. And this series, they have been very good at Dragon control and those setups. Something they're excelling at, and especially now with the 3-item Lucian with Zhonya's that I'm sure is coming up next from Vladi, or at least Seekers in hand. As you said before, it's very hard for KOI to walk into KC once they've got their setup, once they've got control.
Well, the thing, I personally think that KOI is just playing too scared.
Yeah.
I think that Jojo has been so much stronger on a side lane for so long, and they just haven't been playing through him. And even in these situations, like you were just talking about, Elyoya has a 2k gold lead over Yike. Like, I think this was the issue that I had with them in their series versus G2 as well. It was Jojo that was pretty much the only one, aside from Alvaro here and now and then, who was like trying to force things to happen.
Yeah,
and that's why KC is just kind of chilling. They're not over-forcing anything. They're just letting Karna do his thing in a side lane, and then just waiting for the next dragon. And now, like, look at Jojo. He's completely alone here. And he's in a very dangerous spot. He has to back away. Yike can catch him out.
Jojo might have to ulti out of this, but if he ultis, like Baron could be free, and then he just walks out.
And now Yike is on his way up, but now it's a minute until Dragon, and now it's ultimately going to come down to a fight. And so far what we've seen is it's been very difficult for KOI to already gain position on the Dragon. And why is that? Because Karna's been left to free roam in the bot side of the map, has constant push, and now KOI are forcing the Baron.
It's a TP from Jojo. It starts off, zone control used onto Yike, spots him out. At 10k though, KC now need to get in quick.
This is Yike though. Yike has been so good at stealing these, still has the flash of the wall, there's wards in the pit. MKOI backing away, but that's a very low Baron.
Flip
He can go over. If you flip this, the King of Thieves will know. He'll take it from 3k to 2. KC looking to play the edge of the fight as Jojo jumps in. Caliste doesn't take a spread. KC knows that the Baron isn't recoiled. It's sitting at 3k. Impale miss, but KOI is sent out. Vladi sends them away. Thanks for the leash. Yike doesn't need to be a thief when he's the true inheritant. Alvaro's engaged would be good, but with the bubble out, it's disengaged territory for KC. A double already picked up, but Canna makes Myrwn irrelevant, and he's not even here.
KC sneak the Baron right underneath the noses of MKOI, but they still have to get away. MKOI are still playing the edge of this. The hook!
Trench line.
Barely wide.
You're right, it was barely, but KC hold on. 3 Barons in tow, Dragon up. That's the next thought.
I mean, KC are going to try and stall. Karna's at barely any HP. Of course, he does have the heal. Caliste and Targamas still alive with Elyoya sitting at 50% HP. He'd love to get that fruit, but he's going to start it off. The smite available for KOI.
Where's the engage?
Big Alvaro against the wall, it misses. Caliste repositions, but he's set up with KOI. This fight is there. This Dragon is theirs as well. Something for the retribution of that poor Baron.
KC were hoping for a 2-man miracle on the Dragon, but MKOI shut it down. And now you've only got... Okay, Canna. I was about to say Canna.
He's got AP now.
With the Baron buff. But you know what? He ends up doing a fair amount of damage there.
So let's talk about this Baron. Jojo goes incredibly deep to try and catch Caliste or Vladi, and he doesn't get either, immediately forcing him out of the fight. So now it's a guaranteed numbers advantage with the TP in from Karna as well. Yike soaks up a lot of damage, but it's impossible for the Naafiri to get into the fight because of Vladi's hard commitment with the ulti. And it's at this point KC need to disengage, but Alvaro does not allow it to happen. So KC lose 2 members, and now they need to go home. They need to base, but they stick around for too long to try and stop the Dragon from falling, and they end up giving over another kill to KOI.
The supports have been so crucial in this series so far, and this time around it's Alvaro who's been finding some insanely strong hooks. But again, we're kind of seeing KC. Yike misses with that Impale. Yep. Vladi tries to get the engage, but it's just not quite enough. And when these team fights come down to it, MKOI can outplay. And they're looking now with KC invading to do the same.
They are indeed, but at least the Baron is going to stall the game a little bit longer. No true gold lead, no Dragon hero. 2 for 3 right now as we wait another 340 as with this Baron, the siege begins on inner bot.
There's the hook onto Yike.
It's a dredge line that follows into an engage onto Caliste, but he's far away. Yike is going to block the damage, and Redemption's going to keep them staying. 4 members stay here while Canna added pressure, now moving bot to join.
And this is going to be the continuous problem you have for MKOI. All AD damage on MKOI. You're getting armor on towards Yike very quickly.
That turret's dead.
And there's a lot of healing. This will die, but will it be the bot tier 2 for it? Looks like it.
Remember, they had 3 grubs, and the great thing about Neeko, even though this goes down, Neeko pushes turrets incredibly quick. If we get a chance, we might watch it win.
But it's still
with
a
Baron.
Baron.
You're right.
I don't know if this trade is worth it for KOI.
Okay, I take it back. I take it back. That turret goes quick. You're right, against Baron. I mean, Myrwn's still going to get in it, but now open inhibitor bot. That's going to be the trade-off.
Oh, Jojo thought he saw the angle there as Caliste went forward onto Targamas. Caliste went forward onto Elyoya, but only connects onto Targamas. So KC going to back away, but yeah, there's the armor stacking is coming through. Like, look at you got Zhonya's on the top lane, you got Zhonya's on the mid lane, you've got a ton of armor that's there for Yike. Your options for Jojo in a fight are starting to disappear, but Elyoya.
King doesn't stop. So you're telling me right now it's going to come up to Supa then? Because Supa is this strong magic damage on the team. When I see Zhonya's, when I see Nash's, Gwinsu's, the ADC Kai'Sa build is going to have to carry.
Well, think about how these fights have been playing out for MKOI when they succeed, right? It's Alvaro getting a hook onto a key target, Jojo following up, or Elyoya following up, and you have a ton of damage and just eradicate them in a fight.
Yep.
But if you're hooking onto a target with Zhonya's, very difficult to burst them out before KC can rally around that person. Especially then, you're kind of looking at, hey, can we get onto Caliste? But if he's got dashes, if he's got his flash, that becomes significantly more difficult as well. So for MKOI, it's going to be a case of, can we burn Caliste flash before this next dragon in a minute and a half, or do we have to try and find some smart maneuvering in a fight to get onto Caliste and burn him before he can flash out?
1 minute 40 till dragon, 1 minute 45. Baron timer is going to sync up, and to top that excitement, apparently is the first Neeko versus Nidalee top in a tier 1. Thank you, production. That's huge. That's absolutely massive.
If possible, prediction, I'd love to see the total damage dealt this game.
Yeah, because I don't think we'll see this matchup again.
Because my biggest concern is, again, it comes back to Myrwn. Now he's level 16, 3 items finished, cool. But like, I mean, okay, to be fair,
really?
It may be because they've just been trading a lot in top lane, but I thought that his damage would be a lot lower, so I apologize, Myrwn. I definitely expected less from
Well, I mean, the trading pattern for Canna is go in, deal damage, heal with grasp, heal with the primal surge, and then just walk out, right? So Myrwn's probably been hitting him, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, because he's a tank, he's a bruiser. Canna has over 4,000 HP, so it's like when you hit a Scion, it's like fake numbers because you've just been hitting a tank all game.
The thing for me as well is, like, Vladi, we haven't really spoken his name all game, but we will in the next fight. Like, Azir, who's level 17 with a death cap completed, like, that's not a champion you can afford to underestimate, and his positioning is going to be really important to keep track of.
It's also Jojopyun, very close to that Guardian Angel completed. I wouldn't be surprised if MKOI just trying to feed him. You can even see him mid, Supa not hitting the wave. They're feeding that goal to Jojo. Really want that item completed. Jojo, not able to steal away those Raptors though, so unfortunate for him.
Oh, Elyoya has an angle.
He does, an ulti angle at that, but Vladi, he holds strong, he walks up, nothing happens. KC walking towards this dragon, 5 seconds. The spawn comes through. They cannot give away Mountain Soul to this Nidalee, surely.
There's a wave pushing in bot lane as well that MKOI never dealt with.
Jojo flash. He flashed for that. He wants the engage on Caliste, but he gets nothing! Impaled down onto Alvaro. A bubble in the air holds him still. KOI, the thought is that they've done damage to Yike with a teleport to try and end the game. Canna's here. It's going to be mid. It's going to be Vladi to make the move. The fight already goes bad for Yike, but in 5 versus 3, KC have themselves a defender. It's Jojo there to hold the wave. Vladi pulls back. In goes Canna, but 1 versus 4. Not yet. Pop Blossom out. Canna's stunned up in the end. Myrwn auto to his doom. Supa gets the auto now for free will. And KOI, the fight, outmaneuvered, outsmarted after a mechanical playthrough bot.
KC tried to get cheeky with it, but they're just not quite able to get the win that they need. Now Targamas cancels the reset. They still want to try and hold on to this, but again, MKOI outplaying in the team fights. KC just aren't getting the value that they need from these key ultimates.
The split decision. I I say it was clearly a team decision to send Vladi into the base of KOI to try and go for the end. Yike was left isolated, and KOI made a fantastic choice of locking him down, getting rid of the front line, and picking apart KC. Now they turn their attention to Baron.
KC trying to get it back in. Yike there has flash, but is it gone?
4,
it's way
3, 2, out. Yike, not there in time. The ulti down from Jojo Genius. Vladi's ulti does nothing, while Yike again is free Scorpion. I've eaten that before. It tastes great. Supa knows. He goes golden. Now in the bird. It's chicken for dinner as well. Elyoya to clean that up. And KOI have sparked into the series.
out of nowhere. KOI have found the fights that they need, and now it's Caliste and Canna, but the ultimate is down. Caliste is running.
Who cares about a 4K gold lead when you have Supa hard in the bot lane? Elyoya might be the leader, but Supa is the boy who lived. Canna left by his lonesome under the turret. Fear not with a redemption. Fear again. Canna knocked up. 4K gold lead. Be damned. KOI's team fighting. Their aggression. Their stupendous momentum rises again.
An explosive ending to game 2. It felt like the game was slipping away. KOI couldn't find the fight, but